So PP405, the new wonder drug that will solve hair loss forever, that will make hair loss history. Or is it? Well, I've discovered 3 red flags that most people have missed about this drug. That makes me think this drug isn't going to go anywhere. Hello, my name is Jabril. I'm a pharmacist and a hair loss content creator. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. It really helps. So, in case you've been living under a rock, let me summarize why there's been so much excitement about this PP405 hair loss potential drug. So let's briefly go through the research. PP405, which is a topical treatment for androgenic alopecia. So PP405 is an investigational topical therapy, which means that it's under study still, not on the market yet, and I'll come to later when I think this will be on the market. It is designed to reactivate stem cells inside dormant hair follicles. So instead of just thickening existing hair, it might actually wake up follicles that had stopped producing visible hair, which is really exciting. The treatments we have so far, they're about saving or maintaining follicles that are dying. But this actually reactivates follicles that have gone, which is really exciting. Here is how the trial worked. So about 78 men and women took part, all with androgenic alopecia. The trial was randomized and controlled. So this is high quality level of a study. So some of the participants got PP405, others got placebo. They applied it once a day for 4 weeks with follow-up up to week 12. Short-term study, small group, but enough to test safety and get a first look at results. So the main goal of this study was safety. And the good news is that PP405 was well tolerated. No systemic absorption was detected. This means that the drug did not go past the scalp and get absorbed into the rest of the body, which would be usually bad, which is a huge plus for a topical treatment because we want these topical treatments to stay around the scalp and do their work there. That's one of the reasons people sometimes worry about taking things orally like finasteride, systemic side effects. But with PP05, so far, none. Now for the fun part, the hair growth. After just 1 month, researchers were already seeing signs of new growth. By week 8, in men with more advanced hair loss, about 31% of those who took PP405 had more than a 20% increase in hair density. Compared to that in the placebo group, 0%, which is very exciting. And in some cases, the treatment seemed to trigger hair growth from follicles that weren't producing any visible hair at all. That suggests a possible regenerative effect, not just maintenance. So this means that the treatment seems to be growing fresh hair rather than just maintaining hair that was just already there. Of course, before you run to your dermatologist or doctor asking for PP405, let's pump the brakes a little bit. This was only 78 participants. The study lasted 12 weeks max. So we don't know the long-term side effects or the long-term efficacy, or even if you need to keep applying this forever. I mean by this that are the results permanent or do you have to keep using this product? The strongest results were in men with more advanced hair loss. This is the bit I really like. So it seems the product worked best in men who had more advanced hair loss, but it's unclear how it works for women or people with earlier stages of hair loss. So people who are just mildly receding, maybe stage 3 or 4 on the Norwood scale, not clear yet. And remember, these were exploratory endpoints. The trial wasn't primarily designed for hair growth, just to test safety. So this means they were just interested in safety. They just kind of noticed the hair growth as a side project. So what happens now? There's an open label safety extension running where the placebo group gets to try PP405 long term. And the big one, the phase 3 trial, are expected to start in 2026. Those, of course, will be larger, longer, and give us a clearer picture of how effective this drug really is. So a quick announcement. I'm launching the world's first online pharmacy dedicated to hair products. Yep, I do nothing in this pharmacy, nothing but hair products, from shampoos to gels to foams to pills. If you can think of it, if you've heard of it, I have it. And I've teamed up with a world-class compounding manufacturer Compounding means they make every product fresh at the time. There's nothing on the shelf that is pulled out. Everything is made fresh when you order. They're licensed, they've got the paperwork, and you can rely on them. So never again are any of my viewers are going to have to guess where to get their products, if the products is going to work, if it's licensed, if it's dodgy. You can forget all that. And we ship anywhere on the planet, from Australia to Antarctica. We'll even ship to the penguins in Antarctica if they order. So if you get hair loss products and you want to get the latest hair loss products based on the latest cutting edge science, just click the link below and go to the shop. So let's crack on with these red flags and why I think this drug is not going to go anywhere. And I'm using my 17 years of pharmacist experience. I understand this process inside out, unlike most of the people who are talking about this on YouTube. And the first one is the sample size. The sample size is tiny. This was an initial phase 1, maybe even preclinical safety study. They weren't even looking for results yet. They just happened to notice it. And the sample size is tiny. And you can't really draw any conclusions based on that small sample size, no matter how exciting your results are. Okay? So that's the first red flag. The second red flag is even worse, in my opinion. And that is, statistically, in the drug development journey, 70 to 80% of drug failures happen in the next stage. So after the initial safety preclinical stage, they move on to a wider, I think it's called phase 1 study with more people involved and all that stuff. And majority of failures happen in that next stage. And statistically, again, most drugs that enter development never make it through all the way to license and launch. So the odds are massively stacked against this drug as well. And the third red flag is pharmaceutical companies are notorious for kind of overhyping results, even, no matter how small the results are. And the reason they do this is they want to attract funding. Okay, they want to get money in so that they can develop this drug. So in their interest to overhype any small results they see. And this has happened many, many times. There's a famous case with an Alzheimer's drug. You can look it up online, where overhyped results, and when the drug moved to the next stage, it was a complete flop. And the final and the biggest red flag that I think is the biggest hurdle for this drug is, at the end of the day, even if they clear all the initial stages, they still have to prove that PP405 is safer and more effective, or at least equal in effectiveness to drugs already on the market. Things like minoxidil, finasteride, and even dutasteride. And these drugs work really, really well. So it's a very high bar to be more effective than them. And if they can't prove that, they'll have to prove that it's equally effective but safer. And that's a high bar that I think would prove very difficult to beat. So in my opinion, PP405, over the next 5 years, the chances of that being on the market as a licensed product are less than 10%, and even that is being generous. So I wouldn't get too excited about it. You're better off finding a good regime of drugs that are already on the market, and there are plenty, and making the most of those with your hair loss.